Hello, this is Wmpyr back with, I think this is part 4 now of the Misconceptions video series, which I am having a blast doing, and I want to keep going until I pretty much finish the general Escrima Kali Arnis curriculum, right? And just cover the major areas that get, misinterpreted. And yeah, so this one is a little bit a controversial subject for today's episode, and it is with Sumbrada and Hubud. I think the general idea is the population gets divided into two, where one half is like, this stuff doesn't work in real life. And then the other half is, no, it works in real life. So you get either a yes or a no, right? And I am kind of a don't agree with either. And I want to present to you guys a different perspective. Okay, so I usually tend to, for martial arts, I move away from the does it work or does it not work? Because to me, that's kind of the wrong question for martial arts. That's the way that I've been viewing things, and I've been staying away from that because it just doesn't make sense. And yeah, so I want to present to you guys a new perspective and see if this works for you. Okay, so the first one is Bruce Lee's idea. Okay, I'm going to borrow a page from Bruce Lee's book, and what I want to say here is get a guy who trains in Sumbrada and Hubud for 10 years. 10 years, a decade. And then get another guy who does stick chokes. So we're talking about a guy who trains and practices doing chokes using the Escrima stick for 1 year. So he only does it for 1 year. I put my money on that guy, even though he's only done it for 1 year and the other guy has been training for 10 years. I put my money on that guy. And that comes from the same logic that Bruce Lee had said, something along the lines of, get me a traditional martial artist who's been training for 10 years, and then he's going to lose to a guy who's been boxing and wrestling for just 1 year. So it's pretty much the same kind of logic that I'm saying there, right? So right there, now that sounds like I'm saying Sumbrada and Hubud is useless and it doesn't work. No, that's not what I'm saying, because first of all, when you look at the early Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, you'll see that the grapplers dominated. So me saying this about the stick chokes over the Sumbrada and Hubud guys, to me makes sense. The grappling dominates, and you saw that once again in the early UFCs. The grapplers completely took the strikers out of their elements, and they were king. But then you look at today's UFC, and a lot of the stuff that was said, like for instance, high kicks don't work. This is the kind of things that people said back in the day, and now high kicks are extremely formidable weapons. They're very, very powerful. If you have that in your arsenal, you're a devastating striker, and it works. It knocks people out. It's a scary, scary move, and so a lot of the stuff that was said that wouldn't work is now working in today's UFC. Therefore, I believe it is the same for FMA, Filipino martial arts. Once you understand the grappling comes first. Once you understand that, then the other stuff is going to start coming into play. And man, it's a game changer. So I wouldn't just yet completely throw out Sumbrada or Hubud and replace it with stick chokes training completely. No, I don't do that, and I wouldn't do that. And my students know this, So this is why I train in both. Okay. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. And if it doesn't, hey, don't worry about it. There's so much other stuff to cover here and worry about. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you all for listening, and take care, folks.